Hello, welcome to In Isolation with. Each week we bring you an in isolation chat with someone from the freelance kind of world. Could be a musician, could be an actor, could be a poet, could be pretty much anyone, or just someone that we think we want to have a chat to. So this is our kind of last one of the summer, I suppose, as we move in towards September. So welcome along, and thank you for joining us each week. If you've got any questions, if you've got any comments, then let us know. Pop them in the comments section and we will ask our guest. And also, as you saw, I think the video might have cut off quickly there, but please subscribe to the channel, because subscribes and likes help us carry on doing it. Even a like is good because it helps us out. So yeah, Thursday. It's a bit earlier today, 12 o'clock. So hopefully we'll get a few people watching. Hello, Chloe. How are you doing?
Hi, Al. Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right. Yeah, I'm all right. I think the video cut off a little bit there. My screen my screen went blank for some reason. And
I mean, what are we like? How many months in? But we're still figuring out the technical side of
like
these platforms.
I've got this thing on my laptop when I go to shows where I have a screensaver, and for some reason it just came up, and I was like, oh no, I can't see what's happening. So the whole thing went blank. But we're here now anyway. So
and we're both in very different backgrounds today.
Yeah, I'm in the kitchen today. I'm dog sitting at the moment, as you know, and house sitting, and this is the kind of lightest room in the house that I could find. Natural daylight kind of thing. So we've got all manner of things behind us, kitchen stuff. I was going to move that bag there, but there it is. Oh yeah, there it is.
There it is.
Yeah, I forgot. So there's a bottle of rum there as well, I think.
Well, I feel like I brought a bit of Norway or Canada somewhere to the podcast today.
You've been to Canada this year. You're one of the lucky people that actually got out of the country.
Yeah, do you know what we were saying that yesterday, weren't we? When I think about those trips, Canada, Finland, at the beginning of the year, it just feels like another year. It really just doesn't. It feels very detached from the life that we've known for the last 6 months or so. But yeah, I'm very fortunate to have had those memories and to have had that travel time.
Yeah, no, absolutely, it's vital, and yeah, hopefully everyone can get away somewhere soon. So have you had a good week? It seems like it's been a bit of a whirlwind since last week. I can't believe it's been a week since we were last here. I feel like I'm sitting in the same place again quite quickly.
Oh no, I mean, I'm not in the same place, but yeah, I think this week has been a lot of different energy. Quite a lot has happened in the week. I can't really think what, but it feels like very different to how I felt last Thursday. Last Thursday I was kind of just coming through feeling quite heavy. And this week I'm kind of buzzing with kind of, I guess, excitement for new things.
Yep.
We were saying again yesterday, I think maybe because it's coming into September, when it gets to September mentally for me, I think it's that ingrained timetable of being at school. And I feel like, okay, September's coming, I should probably, or feel like naturally inclined to kind of take a step in a new direction, or just get a bit more productive. Because I think the last couple of months, it's been summer and it's been a weird time, and we've just had to kind of feel our way through and think, oh, what are we doing with our lives? So yeah, it's been a good week. How about you?
It's been all right, actually. Yeah, not too bad. Been looking after a very nice little dog. Not a little dog, quite a big dog.
He's a big dog.
He's quite a big dog. So he's been keeping me entertained and busy, pretty much, in doing other stuff that I don't normally do. So yeah, apart from that, nothing much. But I've got 2 gigs this weekend, so I've got a practice tonight and tomorrow, because I haven't played a gig for 6 months. So
yeah, and then doing a weekend. I mean, what is that about?
Doing a weekend. I'm going to put a post out later saying, right, it's the first 2 gigs of the summer. It's also the last 2 gigs of the summer. So that's never happened before. So it's been an interesting week, and hopefully the gigs are fun. It'll be interesting. It'll be weird standing on stage again, or wherever I am. And yeah, Looking forward to it though. Should be good.
I've actually it's weird that you've got 2 this weekend, because I've got 1 next Friday with Ellen the Pocket Bells, and we've also got our first virtual gig on Bank Holiday Monday, because obviously we can get together a bit more now. So
socially distant.
So it's strange to have 2 in a week, having not done any with them this whole year. Because we didn't quite get started with our schedule before lockdown when it kicked in. So just sign of the times, isn't it? It's just strange times, and you take the work when it's coming and enjoy it when it's there. So
absolutely, what I think is going to be strange is that it's like, yes, couple of gigs, and then September and it's like, nothing again.
You never know.
You never know. It is what it is, and other than that, we'll be keeping busy with live streams and things like that. And thank you to everyone that keeps watching the podcast. And like I said, please drop us some comments. We like the comments, because
we do.
We love to ask our guests questions that you put out, because a lot of the time they're very interesting questions which we haven't thought of. So and it's nice to have a chat, even if you just say hello, or we love you, or we hate you. That's fine too.
It's all communication.
So
should we bring in our guests?
Let's bring in our guests. Do you want to introduce him as a very good friend?
Absolutely, yes. As Elliot said, this is a very good friend of mine, and a very talented musician, musical director, performer in his own right. But we're going to sort of concentrate on talking to him about his tribute to Elton John with the show I'm Still Standing. So please welcome Mr. Sam Wilson to the podcast.
Woo! Hello.
Here he is. Yay!
Happy Thursday.
Yay. That was a lovely introduction. Thank you.
Did I miss anything? Because I feel like you are so many things, and it's hard to get it all into a sentence. Do you know what I mean?
New father.
New father. Yes. That is a big role.
Also, new homeowner, and you can kind of see from the blank wall, pretty uninspiring.
All right.
You were talking about, I love your.
Go on, Sam. I'll introduce you again. Go on.
I need something fun to put behind me. Nothing to hand. No, it's fine.
It's good. Here he is. How are you?
How am I?
Yeah.
Great. Really good. Yeah. Feeling really fresh today, and in a good mood. I'm going to go out and see my sister and her hubby and their little boy Tobias, who's about 10 months old. We're going to do that later this afternoon. I had a monster trip to IKEA yesterday to get some new.
I was going to ask about that.
Yeah. So that was really tiring. Got back about there was a diversion on the way home. Sorry, I'm getting really distracted. But
no, I like it. It's fun.
There was a really long diversion on the way home, so we got back at like 9 p.m. and then it was quite tiring.
Is the IKEA close to where you are, or is it a bit of a drive?
No, it was quite far. But we've been getting a lot of secondhand stuff for the new house. And I love getting secondhand stuff. You save money and you save the planet, and when you've not got much time, when you've got a little baby, sometimes you just need to go to one place and just do a load of stuff in one go, rather than making little trips out for every little bit. So there was just a few really practical stuff, practical things that we needed. So just went out and got some shelves and stuff for storage. Spent way more than we expected to, but
you always do in IKEA. I mean, because it's all cheap really, but you end up going, oh yeah, we do need that, we need this, and then before you know it, you've got a whole trolley full.
But it was
do they still do the hot dogs in my IKEA?
The what?
The hot dogs at the end.
Oh, hot dogs! The queue was really big. They actually do some new veggie options as well. They do veggie hot, because I'm veggie, and they do veggie hot dogs, and they do some new plant balls, they're called.
Actually, are they new? I feel like I had them months ago.
No, they're really new, like a month old or something. And we got some from the frozen section to bring home because the queue was too long.
Nice. But Sam, you say you're veggie, but obviously go back 6 months when I last saw you. You're vegan. Are you vegan still?
Oh no, I am vegan. Yeah, sorry, I kind of use the words interchangeably. I mean, I am vegan. I'm not vegetarian, but sometimes for the ease of just thinking a word up on the spot,
Veggie.
I guess because they're veggie hot dogs, they're also vegan as well, but they're calling them veggie hot dogs.
Veggie.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I chose that word. I don't know.
I mean, I probably shouldn't have analysed it.
But no, I am vegan. I've been vegan for 14 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
I feel that is a big thing because that's you know, you were vegan before it was trendy or before it was easy to be.
Trendsetter over here.
Of course you are. Of course you are.
But yeah, no, it was a nice trip. And we had the plant balls yesterday and they were delightful.
Good to know. Good to know.
When you first started off as a vegan, was it really difficult when you went out? Like, you know, if you're on tour or something? I guess it's a lot easier now. Yeah.
I mean, I remember things like touring through France, for example. France is a lot better now. And what's the main supermarket called? Carrefour, I think it's called.
Yeah, Carrefour. Yeah.
Yeah, they've got loads of vegan stuff now. It's amazing. But, you know, wind it back 5-6 years and there was nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember a few times like touring through France and just having bread and maybe some olives and that was it. You know,
that was your dinner.
You know, maybe just like a few salad bits and something, like just picking up some like lettuce or I don't know, carrots or something. But that, you know, that was because I couldn't eat hot food anywhere because nowhere was serving vegan hot food.
Mm-hmm.
So I just go and get a baguette and just eat that on its own, which is nice, you know.
Yeah.
Like a baguette.
Baguettes are lovely, but after you've done that for like a week or so, you start to feel your body crying out for some kind of nutrients.
Give me vegetable.
Yeah. And I, you know, when I was 18, which is when I first went vegan, the other thing is we take it for granted now. You can go into any supermarket and you can pick up oat milk or almond milk or, you know, just whatever. But 14 years ago, if you wanted to get anything that was slightly different, you had to go to Holland and Barrett or a health food shop. You couldn't go to a supermarket and get, you know, I don't know, you just couldn't get those things. And one thing that did mean is I think I ended up being really healthy straight away because I would just buy whole foods and, you know, lentils and nuts and greens and veg and fruit and rice and quinoa and couscous, and, you know, and I just make everything from scratch. So I kind of got my cooking skills up a little bit then. Whereas if I went vegan now, I'd probably just buy junk food all the time.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I think a lot of people that do go vegan, if you see the word vegan, it's like, oh, that's healthy, but actually still a lot of vegan stuff can be very processed, and so it's it's difficult. It's more difficult to differentiate, I think, sometimes for people that want to start now.
I like to think of myself as very healthy, but I also battle a serious and severe crisp addiction.
Oh, yeah, I love crisps.
Me too.
Oh my goodness. I just love crisps.
Yeah,
I know. I hadn't really eaten crisps because, you know, obviously at the beginning of the year I started sort of really stripping a lot of stuff back to look at my immune system and stuff. So I hadn't really eaten crisps for about 6 to 7 months. Maybe I'd had a couple like on my birthday or something. And then last weekend I was at a friend's picnic on the park for their birthday, and I didn't take any crisps, and a friend did take. I think they were the chili sensations.
The way you said I didn't take crisps sounds like we were taking drugs. I didn't take any crisps.
Someone's
probably how I think about it. They are a drug. And then they bought the sensations and the Cool Original Doritos, and before I knew it, I was I was devouring them, and it was like, nope, nothing's changed when
Back
they're
on the
there.
hard
And I
stuff.
decide to open that tiny little, like, you know, allowance to go there, then I'm addicted still. That is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't feel good from it, but hey.
Those sensations are great though.
Oh, that's why they're called
good.
sensations.
So good.
What are your favourite crisps?
Well,
Oh, it's a difficult one. They'd be up there, definitely. Those sensations, sweet chili sensations. I also just really like crinkle cut salted crisps. They're lovely.
Mm-hmm.
The do you know Seabrooks? Those ones?
Yes, I do.
They're like in. I think that's what they're called. Anyway, they do some really salty ones, and they're really oily and salty.
Yeah,
really
I'm just going to excuse the telephone going off in the background. If
That's
you can hear that.
Yeah, it'll go off. It'll go off in a minute, won't it?
Yes, it will. I used to absolutely love, when I was younger, I used to love Quavers, and I can't stand that sort of crisp now. That's just too much for me.
Yeah, actually, yeah. I haven't had Quavers for a long time.
Oh, and What's-Its.
What's-Its?
Yeah, they feel so old school. They feel literally like, no, not even going near them. They're not real crisps, are they?
Actually, I mean, What's-Its aren't vegan anyway, but I remember I used to volunteer at a place called Kangaroos in a little village called Cookfield, and it was like a day centre for children with learning difficulties, you know, and autism and Down syndrome and stuff like that. And they used to always have What's-Its, and I used to love volunteering there. It was such great fun. But there was this one kid who just loved What's-Its, and would just get it all over his face and like orange goo and paste, just all over himself. And he loved it, but it put me off a little bit.
Well, because he became a What's-It, like a human What's-It. I'm not sure that's that appealing, is it?
Pretty much. And it was just like really gunky and, you know,
yeah,
a bit weird.
Well, I'm just realizing we've spent like 10 minutes talking about veganism and crisps, which I think is valid. I think it needed 10 minutes to cover those.
At least.
I think so.
We could probably do a whole hour talking about that, but we have kind of framed it as talking to you about other things, so maybe we'll start going there. But I mean, how have you been? It's a classic question for our podcast, but how have you been over the last sort of 5-6 months? Obviously you have become a father 2.5 months ago, so that's a massive change. But I mean, really, like, how have you been since I last saw you? When we left Finland, came off tour, and then we went into lockdown. Like, yeah, how have you been doing?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just been mad and nuts for everyone, hasn't it? And in so many different ways. Yeah, it's been really, really strange. There's been so many changes. That's been something that's been good and bad, I think. And yeah, so obviously you and I, Chloe, were in Finland together, which was fantastic. I had an amazing experience. And didn't you do one of these with Katie not that long ago? Is that right?
We actually only did last week. Yeah.
So our good friend Katie, who plays Adele in the show, and I play piano for that. So the day after we got back from that, I had a gig. No, sorry, that day we got back from that, I had a gig at the Jazz Cafe in London with a thing called A Night of Stevie, which is a Stevie Wonder show. And for anyone that doesn't know me, I'm the biggest Stevie Wonder fan. I absolutely love him. So it's always really fun for me we do that, like, I don't know, twice a year, something like that. The singer called Joel Fender. He's an incredible singer. And so we weren't sure whether it was going to go ahead or not. And in the end, it was maybe like a quarter capacity full. It was really strange. And there was a really weird sort of feeling from everyone. And nobody knew whether to kind of like touch or say hi. Or, you know, it was really, it was just awkward and difficult. And just coming into London after being in Finland, 2 weeks was quite a contrast as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was the last gig they had there at the Jazz Cafe. So
wow.
I then went back to we were staying temporarily at my partner Jodie's parents in Bexhill on the coast. So I drove back there and got back really late at night. Then next day, Jodie was driving to work because she was still working at that point, and then she got sent home before she'd even arrived. She was on the, she pulled over to the side of the road to answer her phone, and they said, "You're pregnant. You're in an at-risk group. Go home." So she came home, woke me up, and then we had a call from the estate agents of the house we were buying, not this one, another one, to say that the house purchase we were doing had fallen through.
Oh, it's that quick, was it? Wow.
Cool. And then I on that same day, I just had like 50 gigs cancelled as well. So Jodie and I just went for a walk on the beach, and we were just like, okay, I've lost all of my work. We've lost our house. You're no longer working. We're due to have a baby in like 3 months, 4 months actually. What on earth are we going to do? Yeah, and so that was really hard, and I think it's good to be open about mental health, and I know you kind of talk a lot about mental health, Chloe, and we've had really
100%.
And there's a really big sense of loss, I think, for so many people through this pandemic and the lockdown. People have lost all sorts of things. They've lost the chance to spend time with loved ones and relatives, or even people's funerals and stuff. There's been so much loss for everyone. We were actually going to get married this year. Jodie and I were engaged, and we were going to get married tomorrow. We were going to get married.
I was going to say it's the end of August, wasn't it? I couldn't remember.
We've had to sort of move that. And so that's been a real struggle mental health wise, and I'm sure everyone can relate to that. It's been a lot of ups and downs. But I think I've been fortunate to have a focus through all of this, which has been, whilst Jodie was pregnant, it was impending baby arrival. And since baby Robin arrived, it's been looking after her and dealing with being a parent. So that's actually been something that's been really good for me to kind of, get up in the morning and go, okay, well, I've got something I can concentrate on today. I can, I don't know, go on eBay and find some secondhand baby grows or something, or and in the end we managed to find this house, and we were really lucky because we'd actually seen it back in December,
right?
And I had a chance to view it, and we'd put in an offer, and they hadn't accepted. And then after, during the lockdown, there's no house viewings at that point, so we couldn't have been to see anywhere else. But we noticed that this place was still on the market, and we then said, "Look, we're still interested. Are you?" And they said yes, because the passage of time, and obviously they weren't going to be, the sellers weren't going to be getting anyone else looking. So we ended up getting this house, which I just love. We're so happy here. So that was a good focus as well. And for anyone that's bought a house before and sold a house, there's so much to do. That kept me entertained, dealing with solicitors and all that. So I'm in a really good place at the moment. I feel really good. I've got a lot of stuff to do. I'm talking to you now from my music room, and I feel so privileged to be able to say that. It's so exciting. Got my own little space to kind of, just work on stuff from home, whether that's arranging, composition, recording, whatever. So that's really nice. And Jodie loves it as well, because it means all of my instruments and
all in one.
all moved out of the way. So yeah, there's lots to do, and that keeps me focused and entertained when the diary looks really bleak. I heard you guys both got gigs. I was listening in at the start when I was in the
in the lovely green room.
Token gigs, Sam. We've got token gigs.
Yeah, in an empty calendar.
Yeah, I was supposed to have a token gig a couple of weeks ago. It was going to be a socially distanced festival, but it sounded really great, but they couldn't get past the red tape, I don't think.
Yeah.
So
there's so much to consider, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be strange. Yeah, these 2 gigs and then nothing else afterwards. But hopefully stuff will come. But it is good to get out and do things. And yeah, you've got a virtual gig, haven't you, Chloe, as well?
Yeah, well, the first one, as I said, with Ellen the Pocket Bells. So we've only done sort of remote recordings and things over this time, and we're part of a big festival for charity, like virtual festival on Monday. So yeah, that'll be nice. It'll be really, really lovely to sing with the girls, and then it's kind of nice because it will be a little bit of a warm up for our actual real life gig on the Friday, which is in Ascot. But yeah, after that, it's like Elliot said, it's again empty period, but I think it's going to feel very special to actually get on a stage and sing. Quite overwhelming, I reckon, as well. But
yeah,
but it'll be nice.
Yeah, I've got a few. I've got quite a few friends now. I've had a few little sporadic gigs at these kind of socially distanced things, and I'm getting quite jealous. Actually, I need to try and find something.
Yeah,
I'll come.
Have you seen an upturn in some of the other work that you've been doing in the past few weeks? Has there been any kind of upturn in production work or anything you're doing at home? Or
not really. Well, I kind of shot myself in the foot, really, because before I moved house, I used to teach piano a lot as well. So I had a lot of students. Yeah. And that probably would have been great now. But obviously, if you move location, you kind of can't really keep them. And I guess I could have done some virtual ones, but they'd all gotten, all my old students had then changed teachers by that point anyway. So
yeah.
And I do really like working from home and composing and arranging and stuff. But for me, it's my favorite thing has always been live. I just it just moves me and makes me feel like nothing else in life. And so I've spent like the last, I don't know, 2 or 3, maybe more years going, right, how can I make the majority of my career live? And so before the lockdown, I was gigging a lot, 5-week gigs a week sometimes, 6, maybe more.
Yeah, you were busy,
which was fantastic. And but I kind of, I didn't burn bridges, but I sort of, in a way, like I sort of need to start from scratch again now if I want to start trying to do any, I don't know, library music or composing or I mean I've got there are things to do. I've got a few things on the back burner, but which need to be done. But the other thing is with those kind of things is that I don't know, money's a bit of an ugly subject, but income-wise, they're all sort of long-term investment things, aren't they?
Yeah.
Whereas a gig, you get paid for, well, if it's not cash on the day, you get paid for probably within a month's time, max.
Yeah, it's kind of it's now money in a way, isn't it? It's very much you can do it and you can see it very quickly. Yeah.
So I mean, I haven't really got much on. No. And there was a new show I was starting up, and you might remember, Chloe, I was really busy doing that in my spare time in Finland. I'm starting up a soul show called The History of Soul.
Oh wow.
With my friends at Soul Street Productions, and I think our first gig was going to be something like March I don't know, I can't remember, 19th, 20th, something like that.
So soon after Finland, I remember.
So soon, and that got, it was like a week after Finland or something, and that got pulled. So, you know, I have no idea when our first gig's going to be. But there's some more work I need to do to finish arranging the show, I guess, and kind of finishing the show. But I mean, weirdly, I did so much work and crammed it in to get it ready for that what was going to be the first gig. There's not loads to do now, but again, you know, that's just stuff I can do as and when. So yeah, it's a real strange one. I mean,
I was going to say, is it having had the mentality of, in the last, you say, few years, right, this is where I want it to go, this is where I want my energy to go, and then that literally being pulled away, the rug literally being taken away from your feet. Is there, like, you said obviously at the beginning it was a little bit of a struggle with mental health in terms of what you had to adjust to, but do you feel like you've, I guess, dealt with that, and that you're sort of kind of finding a peace with, okay, life just throws at you these circumstances, or do you feel like you're still kind of working your way through that?
Wow, that's a really good question. I kind of think the work never stops in a way. I sort of think that, especially with mental health, you kind of always need to kind of touch base with yourself and just check in and yeah, I don't think you can ever go, okay, everything's fine now, and it will be forever. You know, I don't think it works like that. And I mean, maybe it does for some people. I don't know.
I think most time it doesn't. Yeah.
No, and so I think. I mean, you know, life gets in the way sometimes, doesn't it? And you just power through when you're in a busy period, and sometimes when it's, I mean, for me personally, the times I can kind of be liable to feel down or get depressed is when it's like the quiet times between busy periods.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, as I said before, fortunately, I've had a lot of stuff to kind of on with and keep me, especially with a baby, you know, you've kind of got to get on with it in a way. And that's not to say that I haven't been struggling since she's been born. There has been some, you know, difficult times, but it's another thing to feel grateful for and to kind of to use as a mechanism to pull your socks up, I suppose, you know. But yeah, I mean, one of the things that used to really make everything fantastic was gigging and playing and seeing my friends and playing music with other people. And I haven't been able to do that for such a long time. Strange, really strange.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody's it's more I think you really have, to be honest, out of anybody we've interviewed so far, I think you've had such a huge shift in this period, and it's really interesting for you to sit and say, I feel like I'm in a really good place. And as you say, you know, that's not necessarily, and now I've arrived and full stop on everything. It's I'm in a good place, and you've come through so many changes and so many shifts, but it's almost like the huge change that happened at the start of, wow, the life I thought I was going towards is not there right now. But instead, you've got a baby and you've moved house, and it's those, you've got almost new purposes right now that are like sort of filling you up, which I think that's kind of how life works a lot of the time as well. And I'm not really sure. My question was a little bit loose and open-ended, to be honest. So I think it was more just delving a little bit deeper into that. And I think it's just kind of fascinating to see the way life unfolds sometimes, I think.
Yeah, and I think you have to adapt, don't you? I think everyone's had to adapt during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Like, you know, do you ever catch yourself going, this has happened to me and this has happened to me? And then you think, everyone's had something happen to them during this time. There's not one person probably on this earth that hasn't been affected during this in some way, and hasn't had to deal with some kind of ups and downs, or life change, or whatever it might be. And it's important to recognize that, I think, and remember that everyone's kind of having to adapt and work out how to get on with life,
Yeah,
and
I think
thank goodness for the internet and this kind of stuff. It's amazing, makes such a difference.
Yeah, and part of the when we talk to people every week, part of the stuff we've been discussing, I think a lot of the getting through the lockdown period for me personally was like knowing that actually the whole world was affected. It made it a little bit easier to kind of not focus so much on yourself, didn't it? And go, actually, let's think about the broader picture. And I can't go out and do these things, but no one's going out and doing those things. Can't go and meet my friends or my family, but no one's doing that. So it was a little bit easier to deal with the fact that everyone was kind of going for it.
That can be comforting, can't it? It makes me think of the times when actually Robin's been sleeping fairly well. Touch all the wood in the house. But for a while she wasn't, and you find yourself up in the middle of the night, and something that can really help is to kind of look out the window and go, there's thousands of new parents out there who are also up at this time. We're not the only ones who are awake at 4 a.m. trying to pulling our hair out, or what's left of our hair. So
we have a few comments coming in.
Great.
I'm just going to read a few out before I get too behind with them. So Connor Wells, who actually runs a really good podcast called Young Broke Musicians with Roxy Soul, he says hello all.
Hi, Connor.
Hello, Connor. Joe Bailey says hi.
Hi, Joe.
I've memorized the order they're in, so sorry if I get it wrong, because I still can't see it. It still says Facebook.
I can see it, so I can correct you.
I believe this is Katie, who we had on last week. Can't wait to get. I'm so excited to get back on stage with you guys.
Me too.
Yeah, me too. Me three.
And now I'm behind. I think this is Katie again. Someone else.
No, Daniel. Oh no,
Daniel.
I'm so excited to get back on stage, and then that's Daniel Lumley.
Hey Dan, hey up. And then Katie again, I think.
No, it's Daniel.
Dan again. Cool.
You do
look
like an angel with the God rays beaming down on you.
That's true.
Thanks, Dan. I appreciate that.
That's nice.
I always.
Well, we haven't got any questions, but thank you for the comments. We love the interaction. That's wonderful. I mean, where do we kick off in getting to know Sam outside of being a father, a new homeowner, a vegan, and a sort of amazing person that's got through this period and come out smiling? What do you think, El? Any questions to start with?
Should we talk about Elton?
To start with.
I mean, I'd love to.
I've been dying to kind of talk about Elton John, I think, because I grew up playing piano, and the only two books I learned from was the Beatles songbook. That was more for kind of like learning melodies and things, and then Elton John's greatest hits, I think it was, which I learned how to play piano from, basically. So I'd love to hear about how you became an Elton John tribute artist, and how you developed your piano playing to fit that, because he's a very, very specific piano player, Elton John. Like, he's got a very specific style, which I think only Billy Joel kind of is similar. But Elton John, I sometimes feel sometimes there's like 20 notes where most piano players would play about 6, but Elton's playing so many in arpeggios and things. So yeah, maybe just about how that came about and how the piano playing developed.
Well, I played the piano since a very young age, maybe like 5 or 6, and similarly to you, Elliot, I always loved Elton John, and I think, I mean, I don't want this to sound like bragging, but I've
Go for it.
That always precedes something that brag. No, what I was going to say is that the piano side of it was actually quite easy for me, because I think always aped his style and tried to mimic his piano playing style since I was so young. I think if there's a pianist that I'm most like, it's probably Elton John, actually. I mean, I've always played jazz as well, and he's not particularly jazzy necessarily, but in terms of like pop and rock keys style, I've always looked up to him as a god, and I think it's intertwined with him. The way he plays piano is all about the way he writes songs as well. The two are so closely intertwined. He's a master of harmony and melody, and the way he plays the piano is just so much about the chords he's using and the chord structure, and actually learning all the songs for this show has been really fun, because you kind of, after you've learned 2 hours of Elton John music, you get a real insight into his style, I suppose. And I find myself going, oh, he's used that chord again. He loves that one. Let's think. C-7. He loves a C-7. Oof.
Yeah.
It's a bit like another example, Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder, and I'm pretty sure it's because he's blind, he loves the black keys. He's all over it. So if you're picking up a Stevie, for example, you can play Superstition using just the black keys.
It's all them. Yeah.
Exactly. Same with High Ground. Same with, I don't think of some others, but there's so many of those kind of Stevie songs that just for him structurally, he's composed and plays them according to kind of, what makes sense to him structurally. And Elton, he just, I think because I've been doing those songs and playing them for so long, I've always tried to mimic the way he will, play an chord, or the way he'll, get through a slow section of a song. Even in other, when I've done original stuff, for example, as well, like if I analyze what I'm playing, it's probably quite Elton-esque in a way that it's getting through the harmony and the chords and stuff. So piano wise, it was fairly easy, really. Some hard stuff in there, don't get me wrong, but it's just we were talking about the Adele show earlier with Katie. That was more of a challenge pianistically, actually.
Right.
Definitely, but just not necessarily because it's objectively more difficult, but just because of my style, and also in terms of Adele's music, there's probably umpteen different session players that have recorded those parts. I'm also happy to kind of slip into the gloves of, I don't know, 5 or 6 different pianists. Not that pianists wear gloves, but you know what I mean. I think we know. With Elton, once you get the sort of the mechanics of it, half the battle's won. But the singing's another thing that took a lot of hard work and practice, and I spent hours, watching videos of him, because even like the way he holds his mouth structure and lips and teeth and stuff kind of really helps. You can mimic that. It really helps the shape of the sound of your voice, essentially. So that took a lot of hard work, and I just listened to hours and hours of it, and I got a few lessons with a guy called Ed in London. He was fantastic. And I also have a friend called Lewis, who, along with his partner Jim, they run the show. They're the directors of Soul Street, who run the show, as well as the one I was talking about earlier, Soul One. And he's a fantastic singer. He's like a rock singer, and so he gave me some lessons as well. Gave me some tips. And it was a lot of hard work. But your question was, how did I end up doing it? Well, I've actually always secretly wanted to do it, and it's fairly new for me, actually, this Elton John thing. I would have done, I don't know, probably something like 10, 15 gigs by now, but I actually only, because of the pandemic and the lockdown, I only managed to fit in 3, I think. So it's still very new, actually. But it's something I've secretly wanted to do my whole life, really. And I might have mentioned this to you before, Chloe, I can't remember, but confidence is an interesting thing. And I always think it's interesting to talk about confidence, because when I'm behind a piano or a keyboard, I'm so confident. I'm probably too confident, to be honest.
You're brilliant.
Oh, bless you. Thank you. But singing wise, there was a big thing for me to get over a self-confidence thing. I think partly because singing it's such an expression of who you are so deeply and personally, isn't it?
Yeah.
And maybe doing an impression of somebody else helps that. I don't know. But yeah, I needed some time to kind of be confident enough to do something like this. And I ended up having a chat with Jim and Lewis, who run the show, and because I've worked with them in other things as well. And they said, look, we're thinking about doing a tribute thing. And the first thing we thought of was you for Elton John. And I said, okay, well, I kind of, I don't know, planets aligning kind of thing. That just, at that point, I just thought, I've got to do it, because it's something I've always wanted to do. And here they are asking me if I want to do it, because one of the daunting things is, how do you start something like that? How get gigs, and, you can do sort of little pub gigs maybe and stuff like that. But how do you actually start doing these big theatre shows?
Yeah.
So the fact they approached me and said, do you want to do this? I just thought, yeah, I've got to do it. You don't get
it's like leap, take the leap and just learn as you go, basically.
Exactly. So I had to do it. I had to do an audition for them, which was kind of scary. And in fact, we didn't do it in person in the end. I just sent them a recording. And I've deleted it off my phone because it's really bad listening back. I've sort of grown so much in terms of how I, perform as Elton. But the first gig I did was just such a massive occasion. I'm not a very nervous person. I hardly ever get nervous about performing, but I was quite nervous for that show. As soon as I walked out, it's just in this ridiculous costume, and everyone cheered as soon as I came on stage. The first song we did was Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting, which is a great kind of up-tempo rocky one. And I kind of like sat down at the piano and started playing, singing, and I just thought, oh, great, I'm in my comfort zone. This is brilliant. Yeah. And I just loved every second of it. So yeah, it's so much fun. I mean, his music's just incredible and
amazing.
Yeah, I'm just really enjoying doing it, and I really miss doing it. I don't know when the next gig's going to be. There was talk of maybe doing one in November at the Hawth in Crawley, but I'm not sure. It's just so uncertain, especially with these theatre shows, because I don't know if you guys saw, but there's they've done those tests, haven't they, with Andrew Lloyd Webber's? Is it Palladium? Maybe I can't remember now.
I can't remember either.
how hard it is to make it work with the distancing and with all of the things they need to set up. I just, it's just, I don't know how people are going to make money, because for anyone that's not involved in these big theatre shows, you kind of maybe watch the show and think, oh, the performer's getting paid.
Yeah.
Maybe the theatre's getting a little bit of money, but there's so many cogs in these things.
Yeah.
You've got all of the backstage staff, you've got all of the people that work at the theatre, you've got all of the promoters, you've got the people that run the show, there's the advertising, there's so many angles to it, and the margins are quite slim, I think, aren't they? Not that I'm involved in any of the business side of anything, but I just
as you do more, you learn, don't you?
They need to get to a certain capacity to make it worthwhile. So I'm just worried about when we're next going to be able to do it. I really miss it.
Do you feel I know that it's a bit crazy having a baby and being in a new house, but do you feel that there's a part of you that may feel like doing sort of a get up at home and go online and do a little, a little something just to keep it going, or does that feel a bit to you?
Yeah, well, I actually was asked by the guys if I wanted to do a live stream back when kind of lockdown was first starting, but didn't have a very good internet connection at Jodie's parents' house, so I just couldn't do it, unfortunately. And as I was logging on to do this with you guys, I suddenly thought, hang on a minute, I could do this now. So I'm going to have a chat to them, and I'm going to think about trying to do a live stream. Yeah, because I think that would be. I
think it'd be fab.
Yeah. I think it'd be fun. And I can do it now. I've got the, I've got the microphone, and that's all you need is a microphone and a keyboard and a good internet connection.
Totally, and it just gives you an outlet to keep. I guess because it's still very fresh, but you had so much work booked to do it and you haven't been able to do it, but it's like keep that sort of that work going on the character, and also let people know you're doing it and keep it kind of growing while it can't grow physically in the theaters. But that's totally, everybody's different. Everyone has different feelings about doing online stuff, and also when that it's a theater show and then trying to sort of condense it to, hey, this is just me behind a camera, it's slightly different. But I think in our experience with the online gigs, actually just people sort of saying, I just want to share what I'm doing and see if people are interested. It's pretty much paid off every time. I think it's really interested a lot of people back home. And
I haven't had too much of a chance to tune into some of the things you guys have been doing. I've tuned into one of your installation gigs. That was ages ago.
I haven't done it for a couple of months.
You guys, that was amazing.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I did watch that and donated as well. It's really important to kind of keep up with charity stuff this time as well, isn't it? Because their income. I was just reading the other day with London Marathon being delayed as well. Charities are getting really worried about where their income's going to come from, and
so
it's really, you guys are doing really great to kind of keep doing the charity stuff as well. And didn't you say you've got a charity gig, Chloe? Is that right?
It's to be fair, I wish I had a little bit more information in my mind because I'm not really running it. So, but yeah, we are doing it's for a event called Come Together for Hospitality Aid. So it's organised by people, a sort of big group within hospitality, and they're raising money for charity. But I wish that I could tell you. It's like not at the tip of my tongue. But yes, it is for charity on Monday.
But just in general, it's really good to be supporting charities at the moment.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's now isn't the time when it's we've got time and people kind of need it. So I've just seen we've got quite a lot of questions. Have you seen them?
Shall I bring them up and we'll go through them? I mean, this one's a one. It's always a good one, and I'm interested to know this. What is your favorite Elton song to perform?
Oh, that's a good question. Bit of a curveball, this one, because my favorite one to perform, I think. Oh, I don't know. It's the one I'm going to choose. I'm hoping that anyone tuning in will then go and listen to, because they might not have heard it. But it's called "Love Lies Bleeding," and it's a bit of a lesser well-known one.
Yeah.
It's on his album Yellow Brick Road. The first track of that is a kind of a double track segue thing, and it starts off with this big epic synthy thing called "Funeral for a Friend."
Oh yeah.
Which he wrote as he was imagining something that he wanted to be played at his funeral, which is a weird thing to think about, but yeah, anyway, so it then segues into this song called "Love Lies Bleeding," and it's just amazing. It's quite proggy, because it's early 70s, this stuff as well. It's quite proggy and rocky, and it's just big, and he hits these big notes, and I think one of the reasons I love performing it as well, it's one of the hardest ones to perform, because it's really high notes to sing, and it's really high energy and exhausting, and it's quite long, and then it just goes all over the place. There's this kind of like quiet piano breakdown in the middle, and then it just builds and builds and builds, and there's this epic guitar solo, and yeah, it's really, really cool. And
awesome.
So I think that's my favorite one to perform. Good question though, and a hard.
That's really interesting. Yeah, that's really interesting. This question a little bit more lighthearted from Katie, actually. Again, I think. How hot are your wigs?
Well, Katie, I'm always very hot, darling. They are. I only wear one wig, so luckily I don't have to change any. And it's horrible. I hate wearing it. It's horrible. Oh God! Every time
it transforms you, though.
What's that?
It transforms you.
It does. Yeah, it's true. And the other thing is, I'm sure if Elton's tuning in, he won't mind me saying this, but his hair was quite bad in like 30s and 80s. It wasn't good hair. So every time I put it on, I'm like, this looks awful. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's kind of the point.
Yeah.
It's supposed to look awful. Yeah, it's hot and sticky, and I think it's made of real hair as well. I'm pretty sure it is.
Oh wow.
So it, I haven't actually washed it yet. I don't really know how to.
You need to wash your wigs regularly.
Yeah, it's a good question. How do you wash them?
I've never had a wig before.
Yeah.
Also, you wash them. I mean, this is coming from. I was thinking you saying about one wig being hot and horrible. The amount of production shows I've done where I'm changing wigs every number, it's like, it's another level. But I mean, it's never touched my scalp, whereas obviously it would be right on your head, wouldn't it? So it probably is a bit more disgusting. But you wash them very gently with I tend to do it with shampoo. You can get wig shampoo as well, but it's hand washed, and then you have to sort of brush them through and then leave them on a wig stand to dry. It is a bit of faff, to be honest. So
well, to be honest, I'm not taking responsibility for it, because I don't actually hold on to the wig. That's with the guys that run the show. So I'm
you're good. You're good.
Yeah, but yeah, it's after the gig, it's just sticky, and because obviously being Elton John, you end up getting really sweaty and hot, and it's just it's horrible. It's just like matted to my head and like forehead, and because also I'm sometimes wearing a hat on top of it as well, so it's just it's really hot and sticky and horrible.
Ooh, right.
Yuck.
This again from Katie. This one's a little bit more in depth, I think. How do you find getting into character and staying with it? She says hers was very strict at the beginning, but it's relaxed a lot more now since 2012.
Another good question, Katie. Well, I got to say, I really actually look up to Katie in terms of getting into character for tribute stuff, because she is a bit of a master, really. If you haven't checked out Katie's show, which is the Adele show. Oh God, I've had a mind blank. What's it called, Chloe?
Someone Like You.
someone like you, oh my goodness.
It's been so long.
So check it out, because she is amazing, and you know, you can, I'm obviously used to Katie kind of switching in and out now, but if you, the first time before I took on the role of MD with the show, musical director, for anyone who doesn't know what MD means, I sat in on the audience and watched, and that was the first time I met you, Chloe, as well.
It was, yes.
And I just was like, this is Adele in front of me. It's amazing. She's so good at it. But in terms of getting in character, I think things that really help are being in the costume, and even just, he obviously has those crazy glasses, and before I did the first, just realized I'm holding a card reader. I don't know why I'm holding
You taking transactions there? So.
yeah. It just was like,
where were you? Costumes, glasses.
Before I did the first show, I spent ages on eBay just buying loads and loads of secondhand crazy glasses and sunglasses. So I've got like, I think I've got at least 20. I set them out on top of the piano and like switch them between songs in the show. But yeah, when you've got these massive sunglasses on and a big weird hat and the hair and these crazy costumes, I have 4 separate costumes for the show. That really helps. And I don't know what it's like for people who are just singers, I don't know, but being at the piano kind of helps as well, kind of just gets in that vibe. And similarly to Katie as well, I hope I'm not giving it away too many sort of, oh no, well, this is an obvious one, but Katie doesn't pretend to be Adele between songs or anything. And I don't do that either. I don't pretend to be Elton John between the songs. I just do him in the songs.
Wait.
It is, I think I used to like little amateur dramatic stuff when I was younger, when I was a kid, and I used to love acting as well. So I think that helped as well, in that I sort of I'm used to getting into character, you know. And I remember doing like musicals when I was younger. I did Javert from Les Mis, which was funny because my voice hadn't completely dropped at that point, and he's got a really low voice.
Yeah.
And it was a bit more like, and so I'm kind of, I think that helped as well, coming from having done music theatre when I was younger. And I think the last thing I'd say is just that, however, if anyone's considering doing this kind of thing, however nervous you are about it, however worried you are, thinking, oh, I'm not going to get this quite right, you have to remember that you way overthink it more than the audience does. And you can get away with so much more. I'm not saying that you can, what am I trying to say? I'm not saying you can be naff and the audience won't notice, but you're always your own biggest critic, aren't you? And I think once you've been doing gigs as long as I have, you end up realizing that it's not about that mistake you made in the third song. That doesn't define the gig. It's about your presence and your and the sort of the energy in the room. And if you've got energy, and if you're committed, and if you have the right intent, I think that's what's communicated to the audience, and that's what you share. It's not, oh, I'm slightly flat on that note, or oh, I played a C sharp instead of a D. You know, if eventually those little things, they just don't matter. And in a split second, the audience has moved on because you've moved on.
Yeah.
So I think as soon as you start, for me anyway, this is my experience. As soon as I start playing, and as soon as I start going, I'm just in the zone then, and then it's kind of, you're sort of locked in then at that point. Mm-hmm. That's how I find it anyway.
Fab.
Great questions, Katie, and great answers.
I'm honestly like loving hearing about this so much. I just think, because I can see, especially when you talk back about your past and how you grew up and what you know, obviously we haven't gone deep into that. And I know you've done a lot of different things over your career and very interesting things. But it's almost like the little puzzle pieces have led you to a point of, you're clearly, I know you and you are a performer, but you're also such a super talented musician. You know music really well, and you sort of encompass a lot of things. So you're in a place to be able to take on a legend like Elton John and actually but do him proud, because you wouldn't, you could be the most amazing pianist, have a, you could replicate his voice, but if you're not a performer, you couldn't be Elton John, because he's such a showman. And he literally, everything you're talking about is needed to be able to sort of replicate his essence on stage. And it's it's just really cool hearing you talk about it, basically, and delve into it, and you can see how much it lights you up. So I'm excited for when you get to actually do it again properly.
Me too. Well, I spent so many years not being front man, essentially, always being sort of to the side or at the back. And I in a way, I've just always pined to be at the front. I know, everyone's different, aren't they? And I'm sure some people just love kind of sort of being at the back and sort of doing their job or whatever. And as much as I sometimes I like the variety, as much as I sometimes, like locking in with a bassist and a drummer or something, and just kind of focusing on that. I think ultimately I've always gone, I wish I was at the front, being the main performer. And
absolutely,
that is hands down the best thing about doing this Elton John thing, is that I just get to be the front and get to be the showman I was
born to be.
Definitely. Oh, amazing. Have we got any more questions?
Otherwise what happens is, sorry.
No, go on, please.
Otherwise what happens is I end up playing the piano from like at the back, but kind of like getting a bit too into it, and sort of like I've done this before, and I hopefully I've got it under control now. Apologies to people like Katie if this isn't the case, but I know in the past I've sort of like, I don't know, done almost everything I can to steal the show from the back of the stage. When I was younger. I don't think I do that anymore.
To be honest, I relate a lot to that. You know me. And it's not, you're not trying to do it. You just can't, you get so into it. You're just, it's like it starts to just come out, but your place, whatever job you're doing, it's difficult, because when you're a performer, and you just need to, like, it just needs to come out.
Do you know what you do, Chloe? You for those of you that don't know, Chloe is an amazing dancer as well as an amazing singer. So when you're doing your BVs, you're
he's up.
You're it might be like a little slide to the left, a little slide to the right, or something like that, and then you make it this really nice sort of perfectly executed dance move as well, and it looks amazing.
But it's not necessarily quite what's needed from someone that's meant to be. This is it though. Katie embraces it. She's like, "Come forward, girls. I want you in, and I want to do that too," because she also loves dancing. But other artists would not be quite so
true.
Welcoming.
Personally, I love it as well, because I think it's fantastic. I think backing vocals is one of the best jobs in a band. I think
it's super fun.
It is, yeah. And I've done BVs and stuff as well, and I love it. And if you don't get to enjoy the dance moves, what are you doing it for? That's what I think.
Exactly. But there are so many varying degrees of a thought on that. Yeah, some backing vocals also are super happy being backing and just being the vocals and not really. So yeah, it's you know, we're finding our place on stage and figuring it all out. But yeah, wow, I can't say again.
I hope I didn't embarrass you then. Sorry.
Oh my gosh, no, never. I know who I am. I know what I do, and I get told when it's not right, and and I know when it's all good. So it's absolutely fine. We have been talking now for quite a long time, but I feel like there's still so much we could go into. So
I know.
How are you for time, Sam?
I need to go at some point, but maybe let's say, well, do you guys have any other questions? Maybe like 2 other questions or something?
Yeah, one question each, maybe.
Yeah,
great.
Oh, you go for it if you've got anything.
Yeah, I just wanted to. I wondered if you could give us a very, very brief synopsis of the role of a musical director, because I'm from the rock and pop kind of. I'm a soloist basically, but I play with a band. So I suppose I kind of direct my band, but not in a very structured way. We just kind of practice and we play. But from and maybe from the point of view of people that watch shows, but they don't quite maybe know what the musical director does. Could you give us a very brief kind of outline of the role?
Yeah, I'm not very good at doing anything briefly. I'll try. Yeah, I think there's quite a lot of variety between different MDs. I know, for example, that in Katie's show, Liam and I imagine we have quite different musical directing styles. Not that either one's right or wrong, but they're just quite different. And the way I go about it is this. I think it's important for me anyway, for that role to be fairly invisible from an audience's perspective. I like to kind of dissolve away as the musical director. That's what works for me. And for other people, they might like to be quite upfront and visible, and conducting things and really sort of leading the band. But from my perspective, I like to do a lot of the work of the directing work behind the scenes. And so, for example, on this Soul show I'm starting up, the History of Soul, I'm going to be the musical director for that as well. And for example, I don't want an audience to be looking at the show and seeing the keyboard player, i.e. me, sort of, I don't know, like putting focus or kind of leading it too much. I want the drummer to be counting the songs off, and if something needs counting in, I'll have a little microphone which will just be going to the ears of the other players. It won't be going out to the front of house speakers. So I can speak into that microphone and just say, okay, guys, this next song, and Chloe, as you know from the Someone Like You show, I do that. And
I just think about silly things that have been said.
You can say silly things and no one in the audience knows. It's great. So that's how I like to do it. And in terms of, what that role requires, that, it can really vary. But if you've got a fantastic band and fantastic performers, quite often there's not that much you need to do. There's a lot of early preparation work to be done. So, for example, again in the Soul show, we're performing a lot of classic soul songs from the 60s to the 90s, and you can't, maybe in a pub gig setting, you can get away with just rocking up and sort of trying to play them off the cuff. You can't really do that with a live band, especially a band with backing singers and a horn section. So a lot of the pre-work involves, I've written parts and charts for all of the songs for the horn players to play. And with the Soul Show, I actually made the choice not to chart out which is writing out the music. I made a decision not to do that for the rest of the band, just because I wanted it to be, because it's kind of soul, I wanted it to be felt more than anything. So what I'm doing instead is just writing out some chord charts for the players that need it. For me, I'm not going to be doing the show with any music in front of me, with any written music. I'm just going to have it in my head, and I'm just going to play from the chords. So I'll play each show slightly differently for that reason. And I'd like it if the rest of the band, in terms of the guitarist and the bassist and the drummer, if they kind of do the same and we play off each other, because that's a big thing about what makes soul music so great. So it does vary, and that's the work before the show starts, and that's a lot of work. And then you've got to do rehearsals. So you're organizing rehearsals, and you're organizing, who does what, and you're writing harmonies for the backing vocals. So there's a lot of work that goes on before the show is ready. Once the show is up and running, you're kind of there to essentially pick up when something is wrong. So for example, if I don't know, if you have a technical problem, or if someone forgets what's happening, it could be anything. Anything that happens on the gig that needs to be addressed, that's the musical director's role. I also like to take control of any sound checks. So that's before the gig, making sure that the band sounds good. So liaising with sound engineer and just making sure that sound checks run smoothly, because for anyone that's involved in these kind of big shows, you have a fairly limited amount of time, and you've got to keep it snappy. Otherwise, the sound checks just go on and on and on, and then you have no time to get some food before the show. So,
and do makeup and do hair.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think if you're doing your job well as a musical director, by the time you're into the sort of the, I don't know, 6th or 7th gig in a row, it should be going fairly seamlessly, and then you can kind of just, like I say, dissolve into being, in my instance, the keyboard player or the piano player. That's how I like to do it anyway.
That's really it's got brilliant. That's a great insight into it, actually.
I just want to say, having worked with you and knowing, I've obviously worked with a lot of musical directors in life because of what I do, but Sam is fantastic, and he's so generous with his time and with his encouragement. And you're very, very, you're just a complete pleasure to work with in that way. And then I love what you said about you like to dissolve as musical director, because as soon as you said it, I just thought, of course you do. Like that's exactly how it comes across on stage. You become very much, the band are all equal. It's like, now we're the band, and of course I hear you in my ears and stuff, but I know that in that moment you're thinking of being a performer and not so much all the technical side of the preparations and stuff. So, and I think that comes across well for an audience, because then it's a lot more blended, and it becomes sort of one product rather than them being aware that you're doing this and all those things. So
I think something else I want to add actually as well, which is, I think you have to have the trust of the rest of the band as well, and hopefully I do have that with the projects I'm involved with that I musical direct. And something I have worked on a lot is my kind of ear training and my understanding of music. So, I don't want to be in a position where I don't know, where I don't pick up on something. So, I don't want, say for example, I'm working with you, Chloe, and you're doing backing vocals, and we're working on some harmonies with you and some other singers, for example. If I'm sort of bluffing my way through that's so obvious straight away, isn't it? And what you want when you're working with somebody is you want to have confidence in that they know what they're talking about, and also the way you deal with somebody. I don't like to be going like, no, that's wrong, no, like, I'll always try and work it out in a nice way, in a pleasant way, making it enjoyable and fun, and not feel like you don't want people to be on edge, because again, that's the wrong environment. That's the wrong
completely.
So confidence and trust, I think is really important.
Definitely. Fab. I mean, do we have time for one more, or should we sort of wrap it up?
One more.
Mine really is a bit of a kind of I guess it is a natural kind of wrap up, I think, but just thinking about, we're about to go into September, so we're at the last sort of third of the year. Obviously you have stepped into being a father, now being a homeowner, and lots has changed. But between now and Christmas, do you have, and sort of assuming the gigs are maybe not going to be coming back anytime soon massively, do you have any sort of plans of in sort of work-wise how you're going to navigate that, or not even work-wise? Do you have any plans that are new, or things I might not know of? Or
not at all.
Not at all. No, that's absolutely fine. Like, I love that, because it's just
I guess that's a valid answer, isn't it? But I mean, this is all really, I mean, I played piano for the first time in a long time the other day. Because the house was just full of boxes for ages, and as soon as Robin was born, when we were staying with Jodie's parents, I did have my keyboard set up there for a while. But as soon as she was born, we had to put a changing area for her in place where that was instead. So I'm literally taking my first toes in the water back into playing, and you're right, like, music for me is so much more than work as well. It's it is my job and it is my career, and I am a full-time professional musician, but it's also my it's my mistress, and my it's my I don't know.
I know. We know.
And so I do really, really miss it when I don't get a chance to play music, especially play with other people. So I don't really know what the rest of the year is going to hold. But I guess I'm in that sort of place where I'm just taking it each day. Every day I get up and go, okay, what should I do today? I'll try and maybe I'll do some music, maybe I'll try and write something, maybe it's just going to be a day of changing nappies and making food, or and I think that's where I'm at the moment. And who knows, like I was fortunate enough to get the government's self-employed income support money, but we've had the last payment of that now. So that's it now. So I do need to kind of think of some way to earn money as well. I don't know.
I think that's so, it's so honest, and it's so real, and it's so exactly where I think pretty much a lot of people are at. So
it's scary. It is scary.
It's very scary.
You've got to be honest. It's worrying, and I don't. I'm not saying that as in like it's just worrying for me. It's worrying for everybody. So many people are in this position. And who knows what's going to happen? Things change so quickly. So I don't know at the moment. I think I'm just going to play it by ear.
Yay. Sweet. No, that's I mean, Elliot and I have talked a lot, and I think, Elliot, you were saying yesterday, weren't you? You feel very kind of like you've learned a lot more to just be, and to just be okay being, and let things organically unfold, and kind of, you know, as you say, Sam, take it day by day, and know that, you know, okay, today's this, and that's what I'm going to do. And I think for life, that's actually a really good philosophy to start to embrace a lot more. And I think a lot of people probably have. Doesn't take away the fact that when you ask the question or you think ahead to the future, that is quite scary. So I just wanted to ask, because I think I kind of knew that would be the answer, because that's where I think most people are at. I just I like the honest
especially people involved in the industry we are.
Yeah,
you know, it's complete turmoil at the moment, and nobody knows what's going to happen in, you know, weeks and months time. But no, that's a good point, what you said about learning to just be and kind of accepting it. You know, I think, again, touching on the mental health thing, I know that there's been a lot of a bigger uptake for people kind of using mental health services through lockdown. But hopefully as well, there's maybe been a positive side as well to it, and perhaps some people have managed to use part of this time as some reflection, and, you know, even again, something I was reading is people have been getting back out into nature more and stuff, and that's fantastic. You know, that's, and who knows, you know, at this stage we're not going to know what the true fallout is going to be, but hopefully in a few years' time, as a nation, as a species, we might be able to look back and go, okay, actually we paused for a bit and we remembered what it was like to not be kind of crazy rushing around every single day. And we re-explored nature, and we re-explored our inner selves, and you know, we kind of maybe even connected with people that we hadn't for a while because of kind of, you know, FaceTime and Skype and stuff, and picking up the phone a bit more. Who knows? Hopefully there'll be some positives that come out of all this as well. It's just negatives. I've got one really lovely physical positive that's come out of it, which is my baby.
I can't wait to meet. Yeah. Oh my gosh, yes. I said to Elliot, I hope we get to meet Robin.
I'll go grab her. 1 second.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
First time we've had a baby on the podcast, I think.
I just want to say thanks to everybody thanks for everyone for sticking with us, because this is a bit longer than normal. So I hope you've enjoyed, obviously, listening to Sam. I think, you know, you'll agree he's very interesting, and got a lot to say and a lot to contribute. And
keep subscribing, keep liking.
Thanks. Thanks, sir. I was just anticipating the arrival of Robin.
Yeah.
It's getting excited then. La, 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 la.
And I might as well we've got an exciting bunch of guests coming up in the next few weeks. So keep tuning in. Here we are.
Oh yes. Hi, Robin.
Oh wow.
Hey.
Oh, she's so gorgeous. She's so alert.
Yeah, she's 10 weeks and a bit. She's been a
bit
grizzly and grumbly this morning.
Yeah, well, I don't blame you.
Looking, aren't you?
Hello, gorgeous. Oh,
that's amazing.
Oh, is this her first online appearance, or has she been a
I think it might be,
online public appearance?
Yeah.
Oh, Robin, it's so nice to meet you. I can't wait to see you properly one day soon.
Hi, Auntie Chloe.
Hi. Amazing. All right. Well, that is a natural time to wrap up, I think.
Yeah,
absolutely. To meet you, Elliot, finally. And
you too. Yeah.
This has been really lovely.
It's been brilliant. Thanks so much for your insight and
absolutely,
you know, giving us some brilliant answers there. And thanks for giving up your time to come on. Yeah.
No worries.
All right.
Day, guys.
Right.
Okay. See you all next week.
See you all.
Bye.
Bye.